So even the dollar stores are closing down due to theft, and among other reasons. Let's check them out.
A suspected serial thief captured on the very camera he tried to destroy. Police tell our Suzanne Le he's only targeting one type of store.
First, you see what appears to be a bucket drop to the ground. Then the man with a crowbar in hand jumps over the wall. He takes off his backpack and removes a power tool. It appears to be a grinder used to cut metal. He looks for an outlet, then plugs it in. He moves a box on the ground that was next to what appears to be a safe. Then he looks up, allowing us to get a much closer look at his face. Gary police say the man hit at least 3 Dollar Tree locations between May 3rd and 4th. One in Lansing, this location on Grant Street in Gary, and this Merrillville store on Broadway. Police say it would appear the man has knowledge of the Dollar Tree store layout. So why is the man targeting Dollar Tree?
Probably worked for him before. He might have been a recent employee.
Tree stores? That's a question we've been asking police all day. Police also won't tell us what the thief has been stealing. Live in the newsroom, Suzanne Le
The Dollar Tree is one of America's largest retail chains, but after a botched purchase of Family Dollar in low earnings, it will close 1,000 of its stores nationwide. They say large part because they're underperforming. But where exactly did they go wrong? Joining us now from RetailWire.com, Dominic Miserandino. Dominic, good to hear you. Good to see you this morning. And we hear something like this about Dollar Tree closing. Why? There was a dip in sales, of course. There was this merger. So where did they go wrong, essentially?
It's all an operational issue. It started at the purchase, and now they're looking at which stores are underperforming and eliminating those underperforming stores.
So let me ask you this. Aside from the obvious of items only costing $1 or so in these stores, what was done before this merger where they said to themselves, okay, you know, we can kind of turn this around and maybe not have to close these stores, when now just the opposite is happening?
Well, I think the story here is that they were trying to serve, they've been in these communities, and these communities, they might be the only store that serves this entire community in this area. So they've been trying to price it such a low price point, it actually pushed out other stores. Now these communities are basically dependent upon these stores, and with the elimination of so many, you're going to have quite a few little deserts.
So I guess people then ask
But they've been losing a lot. Tell me, y'all go in Dollar Tree, I go in Dollar Tree. It has to have a high theft rate. You only see like one employee in there, and that person is never up front. They're normally in the back stocking the shelves, because they got to be the stock person. They got to be the person that ring you up. They got to be the person that assists the customers. They got to do it all pretty much by themselves, and receive the truck in when it come in to drop stuff. So it's never really people really keeping an eye on a place. So I imagine a lot of people steal in that place.
Live in these communities, and as you just mentioned, these stores are in communities where people need to save money on items that they necessarily couldn't pay a higher cost for at places like Walmart or Costco, or places like that. So now what do? What is the next move? What do you tell these people where, as you just mentioned, there's now going to be kind of a consumer desert in some of these areas?
That's the issue, because they might have been one of the few jobs in the community. They might have been one of the few places to get any form of resource that they needed. And these are people maybe who could not afford to go to a Walmart, etc. And that was the differentiator, where this was the store that served those communities, and the elimination of 600 Family Dollars is affecting 600 communities, not only the people working there, but every consumer who was going there for their day-to-day needs.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about, too. The impact it has not only on the people shopping in these stores, but the people working in these stores that are now going to be out of work. This is not just, 30 or 40 stores. We're looking at 1,000 of these stores nationwide.
Correct. And that's my biggest concern, is that when you're talking about 1,000 communities, but you're also not talking about communities where there's an alternative sometimes. This might be the only store in town. So I don't think we're going to see what happens, and I think the story there is watch what happens to these communities. Does something fill in? Does something jump in the way? And fill that need, and how long do these communities go without having this available to them?
You know, essentially, people are obviously not going into these stores as frequently, which is leading to a lot of these stores underperforming. Is this
Probably because a lot of the things that's in there don't cost $1 no more. A lot of that stuff is way more than $1. It ain't what it used to be.
maybe, I guess, the flip side of what we're talking about here, proof that some people are turned off by discount stores, or is Dollar Tree just a victim of its purchase of Family Dollar?
I think it's more the victim of the purchase. This started a few years back once they made the purchase, and it became an operational issue at that point because the other dollar stores are able to do it. And it was just a very different model between Dollar General and Dollar Tree, where this is operationally a completely different system.
All right, Dominic Miserandino, thank you so much from RetailWire.com. Dominic, good to see you again, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you, now.
Okay, hopefully there'll be some good news out of some of those stores across our country, but we'll see.
At 5:30, playing defense. Stores like Target and Dollar Tree are locking up more everyday items to stop shoplifters, but that could make the retail experience more aggravating for consumers. Good evening. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Paula Eben.
And I'm Chris Tanaka. So the stores say they're just trying to protect their bottom line. Certainly we understand that. But as WBZ's Mike Sullivan shows us, this choice could actually cost them more in the long run.
It's become commonplace for shopping. Items that used to be free to grab, now all locked up for safety.
It feels like all the things I want to buy are in prison.
You may often see this in a Target or a CVS, but more stores are following suit. The latest being Dollar Tree. After a poor fiscal quarter, the company says shrink is to blame. The term is industry lingo for stolen items or damages.
Dramatically raises the cost of doing business.
Lawrence Kotlikoff is an economist at Boston University. He blames the spike on desperate times, saying wages are not rising to meet inflation.
I have yet to hear Jerome Powell go out publicly and say, look, we're concerned that firms of companies have taken advantage of this inflation to raise their own prices, but not keep the wages of their workers even.
Instead, Dollar Tree plans to move some items behind the register or cease to carry certain items at all. It's more than just safety. There's a hindrance to the customer experience, which can also impact the store's bottom dollar.
Takes longer. If you're in a hurry, you want to go in and out.
I mean, it depends on how quick I need it. Because then if it's locked up and there's no one there, I just leave and go to the next place.
So why are people being so bold? We asked Suffolk County District Attorney Kevin Hayden if he thought thieves are no longer afraid of the consequences.
Anecdotally, I would say that I think people definitely feel that's true. I mean, that situation's not much different than what we're addressing here in Madison County. We can't just tolerate any and all behavior that people want to engage in.
Nonetheless, any and all shoppers will have to change their own behavior just to buy some deodorant. In Alston, I'm Mike Sullivan, WBZ News.
Putting food on the table is a hassle for so many right now.
It's too high. All the stores are high. Everything that's expensive, rent, everything.
Yeah.
Everything that's high. Every time with the year pass, that's more high.
For decades, discount stores like Dollar Tree and Family Dollar have allowed people to stretch their dollars in low-income communities, be it for the prices or just the convenience.
Do you feel like in your neighborhood you have enough? You can choose from enough?
No. No, you don't.
But in the near future, nearly 1,000 Family Dollar and Dollar Tree locations nationwide are set to close. Those locations haven't been disclosed yet, but it will mean people who shop there are left with the next best option.
Publix, that's more expensive, but that's more better. And sometimes I go to Publix for buy a bread or donuts or something, meat.
That or
so Dollar Tree closing just isn't for the, you know what I mean, the owners of the company and different things like that. It don't just affect them. It affects the community. It impacts the community. So this is a big deal for people who are affected by inflation and everything being raised up so high. They go to these stores and turn to these stores to try to survive.
Making a tough decision.
I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it.
I wanted to get a clearer look at those price differences. So I visited 4 different stores to pick up the same exact 4 items. A snack pack of tuna, a 1.25 liter of Coke, some pasta, a box of Kraft mac and cheese, and brownie mix. Here's a price breakdown at each store. $6.75 at Dollar Tree, $6.79 at Walmart, $8.45 at Family Dollar, and $9.81 at Publix. I also wanted to know why we tend to see so many dollar stores in communities that lack other options. So I took that question to Dr. Tom Felke, an associate professor at Florida Gulf Coast University School of Social Work.
When dollar stores come into communities, they tend to target lower socioeconomic communities where large grocery stores tend to underinvest their products.
Despite news of those store closures, the U.S. will still have about 16,000 Family Dollars and Dollar Trees. That's in addition to the other dollar store giants like Dollar General. But that doesn't mean the closures won't hurt some communities.
When those communities have this big influx and then all of a sudden that's taken away, they're left in a real problem because the underinvestment of the large grocers, the pushing out of the mom and pop grocers, and now the disappearance of those dollar store, that a lot of that, I think it makes up about 78% of grocery in a lot of those communities.
He adds that could lead to more food debt.
So now dollar stores closing. You go in Walmart now, bro. Prepare to spend your life in there. Oh my gosh. If you hate going to Walmart when the Dollar Trees close, you're going to really hate going in there. Then you think the lines are long and the self-checkout is long now. Wait till these close.
Deserts and more reliance on fast food. But Dr. Felke does see this as an opportunity to address the issue with these stores being the go-to grocery store.
What we really have to hope for is that one of these larger grocers sees that area now as a strategic investment opportunity and actually comes in and puts a location there.
Or another option.
There is a national program called Fresh Access Bucks that would allow individuals who utilize SNAP benefits to double the amount of those benefits by using them at farmers markets,
giving every family an opportunity to have a healthy meal at the best price options. In Tampa, Jada Williams, ABC Action News.
This is the aftermath of a looting spree in Philadelphia, which ended with dozens of teenagers under arrest. Police say more than 100 masked teenagers ransacked multiple stores, including Lululemon and Apple. They also say this was a coordinated effort. Clearly, not the first huge smash and grab crime, but this comes as Target, the retail chain, announces it is closing down 9 stores in 4 cities over shoplifting and organized retail theft. The company says it's tried locking up merchandise and adding security guards, but it's not helping.
No, because they still come in there and smash and grab.
News Nation business contributor and New York Post reporter Lydia Moynihan joins us right now. That's a big deal. I mean, to close stores down, especially one of the most popular retailers in the country. I know they have 2,000 stores, but certainly this sends a message.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something they've been struggling with for quite some time. They've indicated they're going to lose around $500 million in theft for 2023 alone. And they've really been trying every tool in their toolkit to keep stores open. They've brought in more security. They've locked things up. They've tried to train staff, and they've just come to a conclusion that they simply can't operate without losing a lot of money, and they can't keep their employees safe. So obviously very devastating to these communities, for the people who work there, for the people who rely on Targets to get what they need if it's just right around the corner. And it seems like it's going to be increasingly incumbent upon communities to try and kind of clean up their act and make sure that stores can operate safely. Well, in Walmart, we've discussed this before, you know, in Atlanta, they put a police precinct in to try and keep it under control.
In the Walmart store?
Yes, to try and keep Walmart open, because otherwise Walmart was going to...
I've been trying to tell y'all about Atlanta, but y'all don't listen to me. Nobody's listening because people still try to come here. And it's still a great city, don't get me wrong. I shouldn't try to deter people from coming, but I'm just going to tell you to be careful. Be careful when you come. You hear it firsthand, what's happening.
Close their shop too.
You know what's really whack about all of this, and I don't know where all of these Target stores are closing, but I could guess what kinds of neighborhoods they are, is that there is so much of a fight to bring places that are, you know, big name stores, grocery stores, the ability to shop at places that you can get healthy food in certain neighborhoods in this country that have been lesser served. And then this mess happens, and then stores have to close down.
Right.
Starbucks stores have closed down. Target stores. It's just ridiculous. It's maddening.
And these are huge companies too, so this is generating headlines. When Target decides to close 9 major retail stores, we're going to be talking about it on the news, but we're not going to be talking about all the smaller mom and pop shops in the area that likely will also have to close. I'm sure a lot of companies without the market cap that Target has are looking at this and thinking, well, if they can't even keep afloat, they have tons of resources. There's no way that we can continue operating. So I think it's going to have a really huge dampening effect on all of those communities, as you mentioned, Adrian.
I mean, and again, what do you do? How do you stop this besides at the top levels of law enforcement and government? Real quickly, a little happier too.
Harsher punishments. Like there's no threat to anything happening to these people that are that are pulling these crimes, that are stealing. And now people got to lose their jobs over it.
And though not so happy if you're a Nordstrom shopper. Holiday spending is expected to be down, and at Kohl's as well, all because of credit cards and interest rates.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of these companies actually rely on their credit cards to make a vast majority of their profit. Macy's, Nordstrom, some of these companies make as much as 80% of their profit from giving people these credit cards. And in a good economy, the way it works is that they charge maybe 30% interest rates as opposed to closer to a 20% that you get on another credit card. Well, now we're headed into a more difficult time where people are increasingly defaulting on these credit cards. So Nordstrom, Kohl's, they're now expecting that they're going to see a lot more defaults as we head into this holiday season.
All right. Well, hopefully people just use wisdom.
It's a tough time to be a retailer.
It is. It is. And yet people are still shopping, especially online. It's safer at this point in some places. Lydia, thank you so much.
We're also following this. A little surprising. Target announced it's closing 9 stores nationwide due to what it describes as the increase of theft and safety concerns. One of those stores is in our area up in East Harlem, a very popular store. A lot of people go there. Fox 5's Reagan Medji is live outside of that location with more details. Reagan, a lot of people very upset about this.
Yeah, they are. Not only the customers, but the employees who work here. So we're on East 117th Street in East Harlem, and the Target behind me is one that is closing its doors. This isn't the only one closing. There are 9 other locations across the country. And for the reason, shoplifting.
They thought they was being smart and everything, running in, running out. Just disrespectful to this store. You understand what I'm saying? They just disrespected the store to the tires. Now there's not going to be no more Target. Now what they're going to do? Now what's going to happen to this neighborhood?
This Target employee who asked not to be identified.
You can hear the pain in her voice. Nothing else needs to be said. You can hear the pain in her voice.
Explains to Fox 5's Arthur Chian her frustration after learning the Target on East 117th Street in East Harlem, the branch she's worked at since it opened in 2010, is closing due to shoplifting.
They come here, they steal. And I told them, they're hurting the neighborhood.
This Target in East Harlem isn't alone. Other locations in San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle are following suit. This shopper has had enough.
CVS, the Rite Aids, they're all closing. These guys are shoplifting left and right, and it's horrible.
And as for the closing date, October 21st. We're live here in East Harlem. Reagan Medji, Good Day, New York. Guys, back to you.
Okay, Reagan, thank you very much.
String of flash mob robberies across Los Angeles have retailers on edge.
In the last 2 weeks, a spike in flash mob robberies in at least a dozen high-end stores has prompted the city of LA to take action and launch a new organized retail task force to crack down on gang-led crime. Organized retail thefts including smash and grabs and grab and goes at several shops, including Nike, Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, Kasubi, and the brazen robbery at a Nordstrom where more than $300,000 worth of luxury items were stolen. Just some of the recent incidents.
No Angelino should feel like it is not safe to go shopping in Los Angeles.
There have been about 170 organized retail thefts in LA in the last 2 years, and this is not only a problem here.
Think about it. How many of y'all have teenage kids who be like, oh man, can we go to the mall? No. I don't want you to go to the mall, not because I don't want you to go enjoy yourself and be with your friends. It's because I'm in fear of what could happen while you're there at the mall. The malls ain't safe no more like they used to be. Used to be teens could go hang out at the mall. No, they can't do that no more.
Across the country, shoplifting and organized retail theft cost retailers an estimated $69 billion a year. Despite a new federal law preventing the sale of stolen goods online, some still make it to online markets.
When these real high-end crimes are taking place of purses that might cost $10,000 or $25,000, they're being sold online.
Online retailer eBay partners with law enforcement to flag stolen goods.
It's where we work proactively and collaboratively with retailers to identify types of goods that may be stolen and work with law enforcement to bring prosecution to people that may be committing crimes.
The city plan includes 22 full-time investigators and 1 dedicated prosecutor to review cases. Just today, Glendale police announced the first arrest in the Saint Laurent case. Each year, the average American family spends more than $500 in higher merchandise costs because of retail thefts like these. Jerika?
Tina Patel, thank you. Well, the increase in retail theft is hitting not only Los Angeles, but cities around the country. Officials in Washington, D.C. say one local grocery store has suffered $500,000 in losses. Eric Miller, he's a former FBI supervisory special agent. Eric, this is not new, this idea of organized retail, but why do you think this is happening right now?
Well, Jerika, there's really 2 reasons. One, the national average for law enforcement attrition is at 14%, and some cities are even reporting 20%. It's a problem of not enough officers on the street that can be directed to this particular crime trend.
Yes.
Police departments have to prioritize their resources, and of course, resources have to be prioritized towards violent crime.
But you got to get to the root of the problem, why there's not that many officers there. Because being a police officer doesn't rank as high as it used to. It's not seen as a glorified job like it used to, prestigious job the way it used to. No, they got a black eye on that, on being a police officer. It's not viewed upon as something great anymore. And they need to change that and start attracting more people. Maybe it's the pay, raise the pay, do something.
And criminal rings are taking notice of this.
And turning to that grocery store in Washington, for instance, are the motives behind the grocery theft, I would imagine they're a little different than when someone's grabbing bags and jewelry. And are those crimes treated in a different way because of that? I would imagine food, that's kind of more of a need, versus jewelry, bags. These things obviously cost a lot more. But if you could discuss just how they're investigated.
Well, they are investigated the same way, but you have to look at, again, the criminal organized retail theft rings that are behind this. The grocery store motivation is looking at items that can be easily resold and resold online in flea markets, items that you might see. Also at other stores, oftentimes are those items that are stolen by these syndicates. So it's just goes to higher demand for those kinds of goods, and that's why there's such a increase in the number of thefts that we're seeing. Now on the retail theft side for the higher end items, those are items that can be used to actually fund other criminal activities such as drug trafficking and human trafficking. So this is a much larger organized effort on the part of these theft rings.
So what needs to be done in terms of the responsibility, whether it is a high-end store that you would think if you're spending thousands of dollars on a bag, you might spend thousands of dollars on security. I was recently in a CVS in Los Angeles, and someone walked out with a bunch of things, and I was flabbergasted, but the person said it's not our policy to go chasing after someone. So when you look at the sometimes lack of security and this idea of just let them go because it's a safety concern for the employees, what are these people to do? And maybe it's just not a big enough problem for some of these multi-million-dollar companies that have suffered loss, as you noted at the top of this interview?
Well, they have suffered huge losses, and they have to continue to spend hundreds of thousands and upwards of millions of dollars on prevention. As you mentioned, they're spending money on devices that will lock down certain items that are of high interest to these criminal organizations. Of course, that drives up the cost of goods, and it also drives the consumers away out of fear. And the stores need to spend more money on training their employees, because no amount of merchandise is worth a human life, and they have to be trained on how to effectively deal with flash mobs or large numbers of people coming in and stealing at any given time. The stores can and are spending a lot of money on preventative measures, such as additional technology that will read license plates, facial recognition technology, platforms that connect stores, store camera feeds directly to police cruisers and to dispatch centers. And then law enforcement is doing the same. You know, they're stepping up efforts to share information amongst the different jurisdictions where this is a problem, as well as spending more time and investigative effort on social media analysis, because these criminal rings are organized on social media.
Yeah, it's just so disturbing to see those images. And like you say, I think it does drive shoppers away, because you wonder, is it safe to be here? Eric Miller, thank you for your time.